Hello everybody, this is Frontal Bobber here, and today I'm coming at you from a different angle today, because the sun glare is a sausage, so I have to look at my TV screen, because today on this NASCAR video, I am going to be giving you my opinion on almost every single active NASCAR driver there is. Now, I say almost because, what I have pulled up here is actually the entry list for the Coca-Cola 600. So it's not every single driver, but it is most of all the top guys that you guys might be wanting. So I'll just give you my opinion. So I'll give you my opinion on those. But if you do want my opinion on a certain driver that I didn't mention in this video, leave that driver in the comment section down below, and I will reply to you as soon as possible. So without further ado, let's get to the list. So, we're going to be going in number order. So, we're going to go from the lowest number to the highest number at the bottom. So, let's start off with Landon Castle. He's an interesting driver. Apparently, he's driving the number 0 for this race, which is interesting. Landon Castle, he's kind of good, but at the same time, he's not the best, or he's not driving the best equipment. I mean, so far this year he's driven Starcom equipment, which is a brand new team, but it's about to the same level as Premium Motorsports equipment. So, Landon Castle apparently was kicked out of front row and replaced by Michael McDowell, because he was kicked from Levine and replaced by Casey King, who was kicked by from Herrick Motorsports and replaced by William Byron. So, that caused an interesting shift. But Landon Castle, I want him to be somewhat of a good driver, but at the same time, he should really try to get top tier equipment, or maybe he should just drop down to Xfinity and try to find a top tier ride in there. That'd be quite nice. But, until that happens, I guess we'll see what happens then, like, with Landon Castle. Now we come to Jay McMurray. He's average. He's a very average driver. I still don't know why Chip Ganassi is keeping him. I really think they should just let Jay McMurray go, and McMurray should, possibly find an Xfinity ride, or maybe Jamie McMurray should just stop racing in NASCAR altogether and maybe do something else. Because McMurray, he's just not that good of a driver. I'm sorry, but I really think that Chip should drop McMurray from the team and instead replace him for John Nemechek possibly, because he's a Chip Ganassi driver in the Xfinity series. So I really think that Chip should just drop McMurray and again replace him with John Nemechek, because he's just not that good, I'm afraid. I think he was a genuinely good driver back in the day, but I think he's 42 years old now, so I think he's past his prime. So, there you go. And now Brad Keselowski. Bad Brad Keselowski. I will say, my daddy, he doesn't like Brad Keselowski very much. He thinks that Keselowski is a bit of a sausage, we'll say the least. But I don't mind Keselowski. I wouldn't put him as my favorite driver, but at the same time, he's not my least favorite driver either. I would say I'm with just about everybody on Brad Keselowski. Well, most people anyways. There's not too many reasons to like Keselowski, but there's not too many reasons to dislike him either. Like Keselowski, he's a good driver. He has talent, but at the same time, he doesn't really stand out as like a top favorite or something like that. So, Keselowski, I don't mind him. I think he's fine, and I think he should stay at Penske for as long as he's a good driver. Let's see. Austin Dillon indeed. There were several people that hated Austin Dillon after he dumped Eric Almirola at the end of the 2000 Daytona 500. My response to that, just no. Okay, Austin Dillon, he did spin Eric Almirola for the win. But at the same time, that's not a reason that you should hate Austin Dillon, okay? Austin Dillon, it was just a racing move, okay? That's the thing, okay? Austin Dillon people sometimes dump each other, but you shouldn't just directly hate a driver just because they dump your favorite driver. I mean, I bet you that if Dylan dumped Logano for the win, I bet you that most NASCAR fans would probably be happy about that. But since Austin Dillon dumped Eric Almirola, who is finally in good equipment, everyone was absolutely fierce. Everyone was like, I don't like Austin Dillon anymore because he dumped Austin because I think get the idea by now. But that pretty much sums up everybody's opinion, or not everybody's, but most people's opinion on Austin Dillon dumping Eric Almirola. But I think it's just stupid, and I still think that Austin Dillon is a air driver. He's not the best driver in the world, but I think he's still learning. So, I say, give Austin Dillon some, what's the word I'm looking for? What? Some slack, I guess. Okay? Austin Dillon, he may be spoiled, but that's not a reason to dislike him, I'm afraid. And now we move on to Kevin Harvick. It seems that most people in the NASCAR community are it seems that most people in the NASCAR community are sick and tired of seeing Kevin Harvick win. And to be honest, I was tired of Kevin Harvick winning, but after he won the All-Star race, I was like, you know what? Screw it. If Kevin Harvick wins another race, I honestly don't mind anymore. I'm used to it. I think that's the thing. Fans need to get used to seeing Kevin Harvick winning so many races. He's basically having the dominance that Truex did last year. And for some odd reason, last year, nobody was complaining about Truex winning several races, and yet Harvick is now winning several races, and yet everybody's complaining. I don't know why. It's not a big deal. So, Kevin Harvick, I don't dislike him at all. I kind of was a bit on Kevin Harvick, but to be honest, I don't really mind him anymore. But next year, Kevin Harvick is going to be in the Mustang. I'm questioning to see how well he'll do then, because it seems that with the new Toyota Camry, with the new Camaro, both times they brought those cars in, teams teams had to try and master the new bodies. And Hendrick Motorsports is still having lots of trouble with this new Camaro body. And I'm questioning to see what Stewards will do when the Mustang body comes in next year. But only time will tell. And now we move on to Trevor Bayne. Mr. Trevor Bayne. I don't like him that much. I don't dislike him, but I don't like him either. Trevor Bayne, I really don't know why he's still driving in the Cup Series. He's just, I know Trevor Bayne, he had promise. He did well in the Xfinity Series back in the early 2010s and late 2000s. And Trevor Bayne did win the 2000 Daytona 500. But after that, just rubbish. So, Trevor Bayne, he's been in the Cup Series for 8 years, I think, or so. I'm not entirely sure. But I think it's time to drop Trevor Bayne and send him back to the Xfinity Series. He's just not that good, I'm afraid. So there's that. And here's Mr. Eric Almirola. Eric Almirola, I like him. It's nice to see that Eric Almirola is finally driving a good car. He's driving number 10, which just happens to be the same car that Danica drove. And Danica, as we know, was a very bad driver. Just bad. And, some people would come and say, oh, but it's the equipment. That's the reason why Danica is doing so bad. It's because of the equipment. It's not because she's rubbish at driving. It's because her equipment is so bad. And now Eric Almirola is proving this season that he's a good driver and that it was not the equipment that made Danica so bad. It was the driver. You gotta look at that, some say that it doesn't matter what's underneath the hood, it matters who's behind the wheel. Which is a quote from Dominic Toretto from Fast and Furious 8, if any of you guys didn't see that movie. Not a spoiler, by the way, just a quote from the intro of the movie. It's a good one, by the way. But yeah, thank goodness Danica's gone. And Eric Almirola can now try to be a good driver. Oh, you know who I missed? Yeah, Chase Elliott. Yeah, I'm actually using the official NASCAR app for the Xbox One, and I marked Chase Elliott as my favorite driver, so it's actually at the top. So I'm gonna go over Chase Elliott now. Chase Elliott is my second favorite driver in the Cup Series. Unfortunately, he's not doing as good as most people expected him to be. You know, several people were expecting Chase Elliott to be like the next Jeff Gordon. Unfortunately, well, I can't say unfortunately though, because Chase Elliott, he's only in his third full-time year in the Cup Series, so I can't say unfortunately. I believe that Chase Elliott is still learning how to race in the Cup Series and how to drive a Cup car and all this stuff. So, I think we need to give Chase Elliott some slack until he's been in the Cup Series for like 4 or 5 years. If he hasn't won a race by then we will have to start questioning if Chase Elliott deserves the number 9 car or not. But for right now, we should just cut Chase Elliott from slack, see what happens, and if he wins a race, then we'll all celebrate. If he doesn't win a race, then we'll begin to question if he really deserves the number 9 car in Hendrick. But until Chase Elliott does win a race, my Twitter name is going to stay the same, and I even bought a Chase Elliott diecast, as I mentioned in the last NASCAR video that I did. So, yeah, so Chase Elliott, definitely going to be a future superstar, and I hope that he goes far. Okay, now we come to an interesting one. Yeah, it's the obligatory burp. Anyways, Denny Hamlin. Several people hated Denny Hamlin after he dumped Chase Elliott after Martinsville. But as a Chase Elliott fan, I don't dislike Hamlin at all. In fact, I still like Hamlin. I still think that Hamlin is a genuinely good driver. I mean, yeah, Denny Hamlin has had a history with Chase Elliott, but I think we can all forget about that up to this point. I think both Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott are over their rivalry. Maybe they'll get tangled up with each other at some time in the future, but I still like Denny Hamlin. In fact, at one point, Denny Hamlin was my third favorite driver at a time. You know, like back in 2011 when I first got into NASCAR, Jeff Gordon was my number 1 favorite driver. Cowboys was my second, and Denny Hamlin was my third because I had diecasts of all 3 of those guys. Well, first I found out about Jeff Gordon, then Cowboys, and then Denny Hamlin. I got a diecast of him, or received a diecast of him. And fun fact, I still have that diecast to this day. It's currently sitting on a bookshelf at my daddy's house. I might show it off someday. And as of right now, Denny Hamlin would be about my 5th favorite driver. But, you know, I think at this point, 4th would probably be Alex Bowman, maybe. I'm not 100% sure on my super sausage opinions yet. But Denny Hamlin, I still like him. I still think he has talent. You know, some people would say like, oh, but it's Denny derails. He hasn't got any talent. Why is JGR keep him at DR? Because, you know, he's only one of the Daytona 500 and sausage stuff. It's like, why? But Denny Hamlin, even though he's only won Daytona 500, or as his big thing, at least it's not the only thing that he has won as a whole. He's won several races, and he will continue to win races in the future. He hasn't won a race yet this season, but hopefully he will. And I hope that Denny Hamlin can go on to win a championship in the future. Apparently in 2010 or 2009 it was, Denny Hamlin was battling Jimmy Johnson for a championship, and Denny Hamlin spun out, and this also just happened, but So, yeah, still like Hamlin. I think he's good. And now for Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney, Mr. Ryan Wheelhouse. No, Ryan Inside Laney. That's his name was in Cars 3. I don't know where I got Ryan Wheelhouse from, but I guess Ryan Blaney, I like him. He's not one of my super top favorites, but he's definitely up there in my top 10. And Ryan Blaney, I am glad to see him at Penske, but at the same time, still waiting for the day that Blaney wins a second race, you know? I mean, everyone seems to like Blaney because apparently Ryan Blaney has class and he's got so much talent, even though, like, I mean, yeah, Ryan Blaney did win at Pocono last year, but again, I wouldn't put Ryan Blaney as my super top favorites. I would more put him in like my top 10 or so, which isn't bad. So that's something. But yeah, there's Ryan Blaney. Oh, Ty Dillon. Some people may have skipped this part. Well, I don't know how you could have skipped this part because I'm not going to be putting any timestamps in this video because I'm too lazy to do it. So you'll just have to skip through the video and find out where I talk about a certain driver. But Ty Dillon, he's one of my least favorite drivers. I do know about the little rivalry, I guess you can call it, where Ty Dillon, called out Kamikaze Games because Kamikaze Games had a sausage opinion on the 2018 Daytona 500, and I do massively disagree with Kamikaze's opinion on the 2018 Daytona 500, and I am slightly kind of glad that Ty Dillon called him out for it. And I do hope that Kamikaze does get to Chicagoland or Phoenix to meet Ty Dillon or whatever, but that's not the biggest reason why I don't like Ty Dillon that much. The reason why is because Ty Dillon stole Casey Mears' ride. Casey Mears, I guess the only real reason why I liked him so much was because he drove the number 13, and the number 13 just happens to be my number, by the way. I'm supposed to be the driver of the number 13 at Top Bob and Motorsports. I mean, the number 13 is even a part of my channel name. And it's the number that I put on most of my virtual race cars, and then pretty much any racing game where I can possibly put a number 13. And that's one of the reasons why I like Casey Mears, because, he was Kamikaze's second favorite driver at one point. And then Ty Dillon came in and pretty much blew it. I really don't know what was going through, what's the name? Jermaine Racing, I think it's pronounced. I really don't know what was going through their heads when they decided to just put in Ty Dillon. I guess Ty Dillon would be considered one of those spoiled brothers or spoiled drivers in NASCAR. So that's interesting. But I really think Ty Dillon should just go back to, and I don't know why Ty Dillon decided to take the opportunity number 13. The number 13 is a underfunded car and was actually being built up nicely by Casey Mears. But then they were like, nope, let's just throw Casey Mears and replace him with Ty Dillon and hope he does good. And so far, Ty Dillon has been rubbish. He was rubbish last year. He's rubbish this year. And he's probably going to be rubbish until they get somebody else in number 13, which is probably not going to happen for, I don't know, forever. I don't know. But it better happen soon because just get Ty Dillon on that 13, I'll be happy. Like, at least put me in at 13. It'll be in the completely off colors. Like, if I were to drive the number 13 in NASCAR, it would have to be in the dark emerald, red, and gray colors that you have seen on my cars before. But the Geico paint scheme doesn't look that bad though. I did drive it for half of the NASCAR Heat Evolution 36 race season that I did about a year ago. That was interesting. But, yeah, I just don't like Ty Dillon that much. Just get him out of the 13 car and I'll be happy. Up next, Clint Bowyer. Really don't know why so many people dislike Clint Bowyer. Apparently, some people dislike Clint Bowyer because of Spingate in 2013. Even though nobody really cares about that anymore, But some people just seem to dislike Clint Bowyer because... Oh, well, Clint Bowyer, he caused Spingate. He's caused Truex to lose a ride in NWR, and it's stupid. But that's just not a valid reason to dislike Clint Bowyer. Clint Bowyer is a good driver. He proved it at Martinsville this year. I wish he could have proved it last year, but unfortunately just quite couldn't close the deal at the end of the day. But he did it this year. I'm so glad that he did it. Because... Clint Bowyer. Clint Bowyer. Clint Bowyer indeed. But Clint Bowyer, he needs, I guess he does need to get some more races, or needs to win some more races to really show his super talent, but I guess the win at Martinsville isn't that bad. But again, Clint Bowyer, he does have some improvements to make. So that's the thing. Now we come to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse, I kind of like him. He's about like in my top 15 favorite drivers. He's not the greatest driver in the world, but I guess he's good enough to not crash a car. You know, Stenhouse, he's had a long history of crashing cars, but then in 2016, Stenhouse actually Stenhouse was actually able to improve going into 2016. In 2017, Ricky Stenhouse won two plate races, being at Daytona or Talladega and Daytona. So that was interesting. And this year, Stenhouse, it looked like he was possibly gonna maybe do well at Dover. I think he did do well at Dover, but it looked like he was possibly gonna win, even though I didn't see that race. But I did check some live stats while I wasn't watching the Dover race this year. I'm kind of glad that I didn't quite see the Dover race, because according to most people, it was kind of rubbish. I don't doubt it. So yeah, but Stenhouse, he needs to find more success on non-plate tracks, and I think he will. He just needs to get enough seat time, I guess. And he does get, I mean, he does attend every single race of the season, but I think he needs some more experience. So, apparently he did win the Nationwide Series Championship one year at Roush, so that's something, but again, only time will tell what happens next. Kyle Busch up next. He is my number one favorite driver. Enough said. Well, okay, I'll explain why. Kyle Busch, most people dislike him. Some people dislike him because he wins too much in the Xfinity Series. Others dislike him because he complains too much. But I complain a lot myself. So I can relate to Kyle Busch. And I do wish that Kyle Busch would start racing the Xfinity Series. But however, that has been a thing this year. In fact, I think Kyle Busch has so far this season only won one Xfinity Series race compared to the 4 or 5-ish that he won last year and the 10 that he won the year before that. So, I do wish Kyle Busch would get out of the Xfinity Series, but he's kind of is now. He's still racing in the Truck Series for whatever reason, but that's another topic for another day, I guess. But one of the reasons why I actually did begin to like Kyle Busch way back in 2011. I can't remember the exact reason why I began to like Kyle Busch back when I first heard of NASCAR back in 2011. But Kyle Busch was actually my second favorite driver starting in 2011. And Kyle Busch would remain my second favorite driver until the end of 2015 when Jeff Gordon retired. And Jeff Gordon was my number one favorite driver. But then when Jeff Gordon retired, Kyle Busch was second in favorite driver line, and so he became first as Jeff Gordon retired. And I even bought a t-shirt for Kyle Busch, which for some reason I haven't seen in forever. Hope I do get to wear it sometime in the future. But Kevin Harvick, what the heck? Kyle Busch, he's a good driver. He's a good driver. No one can deny that. Although I really don't think that Kyle Busch deserved to win the championship in 2015. You know, some might assume that I think it was good that Kyle Busch won the championship in 2015. Yeah, no, I really, even though Kyle Busch is my favorite driver now, he really didn't deserve to win the championship in 2015. There, I said it. I actually don't know who really deserved the championship in 2015 because I didn't watch the full 2015 season. But the 2015 season of NASCAR was a pretty bad season anyways, and 2015 was a bad year for me overall. Except for the Speeding Car Series. Speeding Car Series was good, but nonetheless, I like Kyle Busch, and I hope that at some point in the future he can win a championship properly. It'll be his first deserved championship, at least. So, there's Kyle Busch. Daniel Suarez, another driver that I really like. I would say that Daniel Suarez is my third favorite driver, behind Chase Elliott in second. Daniel Suarez, I really, really like him. Not just because he's, a Mexican driver, but because he has talent. I really began to like, I first heard about Daniel Suarez when he beat Kyle Busch at Auto Club in 2016. And I really began to like Daniel Suarez more when he won some races in the Xfinity Series afterwards. And then I really, really like Daniel Suarez when he won the 2016 Xfinity Series Championship. Yes, I know, some say that the 2016 Homestead Xfinity race was a bit sausagey, and some say that Eric Jones possibly should have won the race, but I think that Daniel Suarez won that race and that championship fair and square. So, although after the 2016 season, I was questioning where was Daniel Suarez going to go after that. Was Daniel Suarez going to continue racing in the Xfinity Series or something? Or was Daniel Suarez going to get a cup run in the future? And then, January of 2017 happened. Carl Edwards announced his retirement without really giving a valid reason as to why. So they were like, hey, Daniel Suarez won the championship last year. Let's put him in the 19. I mean, it just so happened that Daniel Suarez was driving the number 19 Eras Toyota in the Xfinity Series, so I guess it only made sense to put him in the number 19 Eras Toyota in the Cup Series. And so far, Daniel Suarez, he's not the most talented driver in the whole world, but he is getting better as he is going along, and I do believe that Daniel Suarez will win a race either this year or next year. It may only just be one win, but it's a win, so there's that. So, do hope that Daniel Suarez does become successful in the future, and I think he will be. And Eric Jones indeed. Eric Jones, he's alright. I still wish that JGR would have kept Matt Kenseth for another couple years. I really don't know why in the world JGR decided to get rid of Matt Kenseth other than just to replace him with Eric Jones, because now Matt Kenseth is kind of screwed at this point. But Eric Jones, I was happy to see him go to the 77 at Furniture Row in 2017. And I really think that Eric Jones should have just stayed at the 77 until Matt Kenseth would retire on his own terms. I mean, it just would have been fine, but Joe Gibbs was like, you know what, no, I'm just going to get rid of Matt Kenseth, despite the fact that Matt Kenseth was doing well, and just replace him with Eric Jones. I mean, it's just a stupid decision, I'm afraid. Again, I really think that Eric Jones should have just stayed at the 77 in the Cup Series until Matt Kenseth decided to retire off of his own terms. Because, what in the world was I saying? Sausages, really. Sausages indeed. But, yeah, so, Eric Jones, I like him, but I really think they should have just kept Matt Kenseth at JGR. I mean, heck, Eric Jones was actually doing well in Bristol in the Cup Series, the night race last year, in the 77 car. And I would have liked to have seen Eric Jones win that race, but unfortunately it went to Kyle Busch. But, oh well, Kyle Busch is a good driver anyway, so it's not a bad thing. But Eric Jones, he will win a Cup race someday. Not sure when it's going to happen, but hopefully it's soon. The lighting is getting kind of poor, so next I'm going to just quickly flip you guys around. I know this is a bit salty. Unfortunately, I can't edit this because reasons. Nah, I have to cut it off the camera just in case. Alright, this might be a bit noisy. There we go. Now you have some more light. But yeah, so that's my opinion on Eric Jones. Oh, wait, what? Oh, Matt Kenseth just happens to be there. Well, what do you know? Matt Kenseth, the guy who was kicked out of Thingy-Majiggy by Jones. But just happens that Matt Kenseth is on the slip, which is interesting. For some odd reason, he's in a Toyota. What the heck? Yeah, it says here on here that Matt Kenseth is going to be in the number 6 Toyota at the Coca-Cola 600. Either the guys at NASCAR screwed up or Roush Fenway is up to something interesting. Matt Kenseth. I think you know most of my opinion on Kenseth by now, after I just talked about Eric Jones. But Kenseth, again, I really think he should have just stayed at JGR for another 2 years, and I think you know the rest of the opinion. But I think Matt Kenseth was a good driver, and, you know, but this season, you know, Matt Kenseth just getting back into the number 6 car, doing genuinely rubbish. He was fairly rubbish at Kansas. He was pretty much back there with Jimmy Johnson, which is shocking to say enough. And in the All-Star race, despite the fact that Kenseth got the pole, he was just gone from the face of the lead after that. So apparently Kansas is going to be in the Coca-Cola 600 now, which would be interesting, but I guess we'll see what happens. So yeah, and now we come on Paul Menard. Paul Menard. He's okay. Paul Menard, he is showing some speed in the 21 this year, and I really hope that Paul Menard can get a win in the 21, possibly, but at the same time, the only real reason why Paul Menard is still winning the Cup Series is because he's getting sponsored by Menards, by, his daddy, which just happens to be the CEO of Menards. But, oh dear, I guess we'll see what Paul Menard does in 21, but I'm just not sure. But, kind of wish they could have kept the 27 car at Chip Ganassi Racing, though, and possibly put somebody in that car. Possibly put Ty Dillon in that car. Then Casey Mays can still have a ride, but no, I guess. So, yeah. Anyways, now moving on to Joey Logano. Apparently, some people in the community absolutely despise Joey Logano. I guess Joey Logano has done some sausagey things over his career, because Joey Logano kind of spun Matt Kenseth back in 2015 in Kansas. Although some people get triggered over the fact that Kamikaze Games, well, I say Kamikaze Games, some people, but one of the big ones just happens to be Kamikaze Games, was when Joey Logano bumped and ran Matt Morgan for the lead. But I don't see that as a valid reason to dislike Joey Logano. Just because somebody bumps and runs your favorite driver, you shouldn't just directly hate them. It's just stupid, to be honest. But I like Logano. He's a genuinely good driver. And hopefully he can make the playoffs this year. Although Joey Logano, he did badly in 2017, It's like 2016, you make the Final Four at Homestead, and the following season, you don't even make the playoffs, and you get your winning cover. That is just, oh my goodness me. That is sausagey, and very sausagey indeed. It's a thing. It's bad. But, oh well. I still like Logano no matter what at this point. I guess if Logano does something sausagey, then I might have a reason to dislike him, but for right now, I'm good with Logano. Ooh, William Byron's next. He's an interesting one. William Byron, the next Jeff Gordon, currently the driver of the 24. Oh dear. William Byron, not that good at all. I had high expectations for William Byron after he won the 2017 Xfinity Series Championship. And then William Byron this year goes into the 24. I mean, yeah, it is William Byron's first ever season in the Cup Series and first ever races in the Cup Series in general, but just, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I mean, he went 2 laps on in Atlanta, and, oh dear, William Byron, he has a long way to go to becoming a good driver. He has a long, long way to go. Finishing on the lead lap would be a start, but, oh dear, oh dear. I do like William Byron, and I do hope that he is successful in the future, but he needs to improve his talents first. So, there's that. Ooh, Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman, I like him as a guy. As a driver, He won Phoenix last year, but only because of pit strategy stuff. Cowboy should have won that race, but it's not to be Newman for some reason. But Newman, I like Newman, but I just think he's past his prime. I think Newman should just go back to Xfinity at this point, or do something else that's not NASCAR related. But he's just not that good in the 31 anymore. I'm sorry, but just oh dear. So I guess we'll see what the future of Ryan Newman is. But Oh, I guess we'll find out. Guess we'll find out indeed. Yeah. Ooh, Matt DiBurrito, Matt DiBenedetto, an interesting driver. I do kind of like Matt, but he's like William Byron, except obviously Matt DiBenedetto driving go fast racing equipment, which is slow to say the least. I kind of question why DiBenedetto decided to leave BK Racing and go faster. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not too sure if it was Matt's decision or if it was a decision of the guys at BK Racing or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but it's one of those things. Yeah, DiBurrito not doing that good in the 32. I think he's another guy that should possibly drop down to Xfinity or do something else because he's just not that good. I'm sorry, but DiBurrito, as cool as his name is, it's not great of a driver. Despite the fact they got 6 in Bristol at one point, but I think that was just sausagery, really. That's something. Now comes to Michael McDowell. Michael McDowell, another driver, a lot like DiBenedetto. Michael McDowell, he just doesn't do good in the Cup Series, but he did win that Xfinity Series race in Road America. But Michael McDowell, another driver who should just really step down to Xfinity or basically the same as Matt DiBenedetto. Basically everything that I said about Matt DiBenedetto could apply to Michael McDowell, except for the BK and go fast sausagery, because now Michael McDowell drives the front row after leaving the Levine last year because he was kicked out so they could get Case Kane in that car. Even though Case Kane is somewhat rubbish, but I'll get to that when I get to him. But yeah, so there's Michael McDowell. In fact, I think he should just race the 2-car permanently at Chipkin or RCR on the Xfinity. But again, we'll see where Michael McDowell goes next. Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher, indeed. Another driver who is meh. I was kind of hoping that Chris Buescher would go to, I was hoping that Chris Buescher going to JTG Daugherty Racing in the number 37 car would be an improvement for him, but nope. He's as bad as he was at front row. And for that reason, Chris Buescher should just be another driver that basically goes the same path as Michael McDowell. But again, we'll see what happens. So, yeah. His car looks cool, though. I will give that. And David Reagan. Everything that I said about Michael McDowell could possibly apply to Reagan. David Reagan, he is somewhat of a good driver again, but he's just not that good at front row. So, that's about it, though. Although David Reagan did win 2 Cup races at couple plate races, so I guess that's something. But again, Dave Reagan, another driver who should think about stepping down. Simple as that. Kurt Busch. Kurt Rage Busch. Well, I say rage. Kurt Busch doesn't rage that much anymore, but it's also just happened, I guess. Dear, I think Kurt Busch is kind of past his prime, because Kurt Busch hasn't won a single race since the 2017 Daytona 500. After that, Kurt Busch, not good, not very, very good at all. I think Kurt Busch might be past his prime at this point, but I guess we'll see what Kurt Busch does going in the future, as usual. I really hope that Kurt Busch wins another race, but if he doesn't, then he might be past his prime, and he might need to leave Stewart-Haas Racing after, 15, 16, 17 years of racing? I'm not entirely sure. Apparently he was fired from Roush, back in 2003, because he got a speeding violation or something. Whoopsie daisy, I'm pressing all bad buttons. But apparently Kurt Busch was a rager when he was at Penske in the late 2000s, early 2010s. So the story of Kurt Busch is interesting. But at the same time, it might be coming to an end. Ooh, Kyle Larson, another likable guy. I like Kyle Larson, and so should you. Because Kyle Larson, I think at this point, Kyle Larson is the best Chevy driver right now. Kyle Larson is currently the best driver at driving that Chevrolet Camaro. Which teams, for some odd reason, are still getting around to it, but Kyle Larson, I kind of wish Larson could have won at Kansas or something, like getting dimmer again, so that's lovely. Sun going down, apparently. But Kyle Larson, he should have won at Kansas, but he didn't. The heck? It's got a notification from Discord. But Kyle Larson, I hope he wins a race this season. Kind of want Kyle Larson at this point to become the first driver to win in the new Chevrolet Camaro, because Kyle Larson has been the best driver to master it so far. But only time will tell when Kyle Larson will get that first win in that Camaro. But apart from that, I like Kyle Larson, and I think he's a good driver, and I think he has a bright future in NASCAR, despite the fact that he's only been racing in the Cup Series for full time for about 5 years now, and yet he's already won races, and he's already playing as a championship contender. So we'll see what Larson does when we reach the playoffs this season. Hopefully Larson can win a race before the playoffs begin. It would be nice to see. Ooh, Bubba Wallace Jr., Bubba Wallace, Darrell Wallace Jr., whatever in the world that you want to call him. Another very likable guy in the Cup Series. Bubba Wallace, he has become one of my favorites. You know, well, you want to know what's weird, though? After Bubba Wallace came second in the Daytona 500, I was hoping that Bubba Wallace could possibly win in Atlanta. But not only did Bubba Wallace not win in Atlanta, he finished 2 laps down. And that's awful. Man. But then again, Daytona is a plate track, and Daytona is anybody's race. So I guess it wasn't the most impressive thing in the world to see Bubba Wallace win or come second in the Daytona 500. My camera's being weird for some reason. I don't know why that is. But Bubba Wallace, hope he becomes a future superstar, and hopefully Bubba Wallace can bring the number 43 back to victory lane. I really hope that does happen. I think Bubba Wallace is the person that will bring the number 43 back to form, like it was back in the days when Richard Petty was racing that number 43. It'll be much harder to do, especially considering the state of Richard Petty racing, or Richard Petty Motorsports. But we will see. We will see. We will see. AJ Allmendinger. Another one of those drivers who should possibly step down. But AJ Allmendinger, he is actually a good driver. He proved it in the All-Star race. He's proven it on road courses. AJ Allmendinger is like the master of road courses, apparently. He's kind of like me. I would say that I am a good driver of road courses, even though I've only done it in the virtual world. It would be nice to do it in the real world sometime. Probably not going to happen, but only time will tell. But Allmendinger, I think Allmendinger should, although Allmendinger's driving for JGG Daughtery Racing, but I think Allmendinger should stop racing in NASCAR altogether, and instead should race in sports car racing, because apparently Allmendinger, when he drove I say sports car, sports car divisions, like, the IMSA sports car series and endurance racing series, you know what I'm talking about? GT racing, that's the better term to use. GT racing. Or maybe even prototype racing or something like that. That'd be cool. But Allmendinger, I think Allmendinger can find success in cars like those, but not in NASCAR. So, I really think that AJ Allmendinger will have better success elsewhere, and I think Allmendinger will be a good will be a star someday, just not in NASCAR. Gonna come to Jimmy Johnson. Jiminy Johnson. Jimmy. He's been rubbish this year. Just absolute rubbish. After winning the championship in 2016, which was the first season where I really followed NASCAR. But Jimmy Johnson just been terrible this season. Man, what happened to you, Jimmy Johnson? You were good in 2016. You were somewhat good in 2017, and just, I think Jimmy Johnson might be another driver that's past his prime now. Apparently, Lowe's is leaving a sponsorship next year, so it'll be interesting to see where Jimmy Johnson goes maybe next time. We'll see. But I guess we'll have to see what happens with Jimmy Johnson in the future. Several people did think that Jimmy Johnson would eventually go in for an 8th title. But considering how bad he has been this season, I think Jimmy Johnson might be past his prime now. I think 7 championships might be it for him. We'll need another driver to get more championships than 7, then I guess. Stinks, but truth hurts, I guess. I'll come to Cole Witt. I don't know Cole Witt that well, so I think I'll just skip him. No opinion for Cole Witt. I don't know him that well, so can't give an opinion. Here we come to our boy Truex. Ooh, only a few guys to go. Yeah, don't worry, guys. This video is almost over. Just hang in there. Truex. Truex. I think he's my 4th favorite driver at this point. No, that's Denny Hamlin. I think. Oh, that's the kind of salty G. Because Truex is like my 6th favorite driver at this point. But I should put Truex higher because Truex is a good driver. I mean, he certainly proved in 2017 by winning the title and also winning 8 races. 8 races. I can't put 8 on my fingers, so just pretend that yeah, there you go. Winning 8 races in 2017 in a time where it's very hard to win so many races in NASCAR. Well, I say that Kevin Harvick has won 5 points races this season, but that's another topic for another day. So Truex, good driver, and I hope he has more success going on in the future. Not really much to say apart from that. Alex Bowman. He's another one of my favorites, but at the same time, Bowman not doing that well this season. But, well, I say not doing that well. Alex Bowman, he did get his best career finish at Bristol. So, I think Alex Bowman will have success in the Cup Series. I think he led several laps at Dover, but I didn't watch the Dover race, so I don't know exactly what happened. But I do hope that Alex Bowman can find success. Well, he will, though. He will. I think we just need to give Alex Bowman some time. This is his first full-time year in the Cup Series in a top-tier ride. You know, Alex Bowman, he's already had previous Cup experience driving for 2 rubbish teams in 2014 and 15. And then driving the 88 for 10 races in 2016. So, but Alex Bowman, I think he does have a good future in NASCAR. Only time will tell when that future will come. And for the final driver, last but not least, is Kasey Kahne. I fully respect Hendrick's decision to kick him out of Harry Motorsports. Kasey Kahne, just not good. Just not good driver anymore. Kasey Kahne, apparently he was good back in the day, but not good now. No. Sorry, Kasey Kahne, but I think you're another driver that's past that prime, which is kind of silly to say as well, because Kasey Kahne, apparently he's only 28 years old, and to already be past your prime by then is kind of disgusting, to be honest. I'm sorry. Well, that's what they say. Kasey Kahne could possibly be 38 or something. I don't know what his age is, but it's not that good, I'm afraid. So, we'll see what Kasey Kahne does at Levine, but I'm expecting nothing from him at this point. Apparently, some say that Kasey Kahne, you know, he was apparently the last driver to ever win at Hendrick Motorsports as of now, until we'll see what happens. But apparently, Kasey Kahne's not even under Hendrick anymore. But I am very glad that in 2017, Hendrick Motorsports decided to just make Kasey Kahne a free agent and then replace him with William Byron, and that's a good thing because apparently Kasey Kahne was still going to be under contract at Hendrick for this year, but I'm just so glad that they got rid of him after 2017, and I am so glad that William Byron is in that car now, and he's, well, kind of in the car, I guess. Now that Byron is a successful driver, so far he hasn't, you know, been the most successful driver in the world, but I think we've got to give William Byron some time before we can, you know, say things, I guess. Oh, excuse me. And that, my friends, is my opinion on every, or almost every single active driver. Again, if there's any driver that I missed, or any driver that you want my opinion on, leave it in the comments and I'll reply. If I don't know the driver, I'll just say that I don't know the driver, but if I do know the driver and you want my opinion on them, then I'll give it. But this was a long video, longest I've uploaded in a while, 50 minutes long. The last time that I uploaded a video longer than this was the Boston trip, which wasn't that long ago, but this is really my longest-ish video where I've just rambled on for 50 minutes. I kind of wish I had done this as a live stream now, because I didn't expect the video to be this long. I was kind of hoping that this video would kind of be about maybe 20 minutes or something, but nope, turns out that it takes a long time for you to get through the opinions of every single NASCAR driver. But if you have managed to watch this whole entire video, and are still watching this now, make sure to leave a comment saying, I watched the whole entire video, which is interesting. Or leave a comment saying, bank coaches, keep reporting prices up. Bank coaches, keep reporting prices up. Leave a comment saying those 3 words, actually, if you manage to see this part of the video, I guess. But, yep, that is my every single opinion on every single active NASCAR driver. I'm not sure if I'm going to upload this, but NASCAR 2 should be a thing about now or something. Maybe tomorrow or something. I don't know. But that is all for this video. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Again, if you managed to sit through this whole thing, leave a comment saying so. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.